Well, we are here, as you could hear and see behind me, at SIBO Global Markets. We always appreciate when our friends in Chicago let us film from here on the floor. And it was a tough day, a tough night, in particular for a lot of those guys and gals back there, Pete, that went to the game, because a lot of them did, and there were some long faces in there because the Bears looked like they were taking the Vikings apart, but they just couldn't get enough separation. I mean, the Vikings kept staying within striking distance, unfortunately, for the Bears. And even though J.J. McCarthy was getting just hammered in the first half and the third quarter, he came back with a fabulous fourth quarter. And that's what this video is going to give you guys a little view into. So let's watch.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to do it anyway.
Well,
There he is.
he hadn't played John since going all the way back to January of 2024. So, that was college, by the way. And so it's something where something happened in the second half. Like you said, maybe it's the fourth quarter, whatever. But this kid has got it. And we've talked about that for a while now. He's been a winner at every single level. And when you see him looking down the field and finding the right guys, the right receivers, and using his own legs to run, pretty amazing what he was able to accomplish, because he was getting beat up. And the Bears were playing very good football. I mean, on both sides of the ball for most of the game, at least the first half for sure. And they dominated. They had that interception too from J.J. McCarthy. But it was really interesting, John, just to see how they were going to play the game and what the Vikings were able to do. They were able to run the ball a little bit. I think one of the biggest problems for the Bears might have been the number of penalties and the yards they gave up off of that as well. That was one of the issues. But interesting to watch. It was a fun game because of the fact that it was pretty daggone close as you got into the fourth quarter and the Vikings making the comeback that they made. But I'm sure the Bears are kind of kicking themselves for allowing them to get back into the football game.
Yeah, I'm going to quote Pete here. You got to put your foot on their neck and stomp. Not actually, but you've got to close it. And they didn't close it. And this is what happens when you don't close it. Yeah. All right. What else you got for some sports today, Pete?
All right. Well, I'll throw this one out to you. I was taking a look. We watched obviously the first week, and everybody's got their opportunity to see everything that's going on in the NFL and what it looks like, all these new quarterbacks and everything else. Who do you think are the top three teams in the AFC, NFC? Here's what I came up with, John, and you probably are pretty close to these numbers, but I'm looking at the Bills. Obviously, that was an unbelievable game. I'm going to put the Ravens right behind them. They only got beat by a point, and it was on the road and the whole thing. I really like what Jim Harbaugh is doing with the Chargers. And, a lot of people are sort of looking at a lot of other AFC teams. But I'll tell you what, a team that can throw the ball, that can run the ball, a very ferocious offensive line that's big and athletic, and a defense that's not so half bad either. I'll tell you what, I think those are my AFC teams. And as far as the NFC, I love what I see out of Philly. That game with Dallas, that was a tough game, obviously, for both. And it was a lot of back and forth, a lot of jawing, a lot of flags being thrown. But how about the Washington team? When you look at the Commanders, you can't look past them. These guys, last year, they were great. He started off, Jaden Daniels looked like the same quarterback he was last year. So hopefully, as we get through the season, he doesn't have that sophomore slump. And then I'm going to throw out the Packers. And it's not just because of Micah Parsons, but that's definitely a big piece to the puzzle. But they've got their quarterback that they love. They've got their tight ends. They've got their receivers. They've got their defense. And that defense got a little bit better, maybe a lot better with Micah Parsons being a part of it, John. So I got Philly, Washington, and the Packers as my top three.
I don't disagree. And I think you're exactly right about the Commanders, Pete. The Commanders, when you've got Jaden Daniels throwing 19 of 30 or something like that, Pete. So in other words, strong TDs. He only had one on Sunday, but he certainly looked good. And the team as a whole, from offense up and down the line to defense, looks really good. Yeah. Now, granted, they're playing the Giants.
We forgot that.
The Giants, yeah. But, they basically scored straight up, went up 7-0, then 7-3. Then it was a nothing third quarter, and they just went went away with the win, scoring another touchdown in the fourth and holding the Giants to 0. So this is a team that I'm going to say is one of the best, Pete, in either AFC or NFC.
Yeah, absolutely. How about a little college football, John? I just thought it would be kind of fun to look at this too, and who's going up and who's going down. The one school that's kind of stumbled a little bit, I think, is Clemson. Clemson came in with national title hopes. They still have them, but you can lose the first game to LSU. That is a great football team, and we all know it. They've got great history, and Brian Kelly's done a great job with what they've got at LSU. So that part, you get your loss, and it was game 1. So that's okay, because when you get to November, they're going to kind of forget about that LSU loss. But they damn near lost to Troy, John. You can't do that. I mean, they trailed by 16 points to Troy. And that's not going to go well. Now, they ended up winning the football game, but they're not playing very well. So they've been moving down. They were pretty highly ranked early on, and they started sliding. I'll tell you who's been going up. We talked about this the other day. Illinois got a good quarterback, and they have a potential with Bielema. I mean, they were 10-3 last year. What can they do this year? Who knows? But they're going up. Florida State's going up. And I got a nice sleeper for you. How about South Florida, who's now in number 18, John, because of the fact that they beat up on Boise State, who was ranked in the top 25 when they played them. And South Florida wasn't ranked, but they beat them 34-7. And then they come off and they go to Florida, to the Gators, number 13, and they win that game 18-16. They got Miami this week. If they can somehow get through this gauntlet, I'll tell you what, they're playing teams that are ranked, and they're winning, and they're doing a great job. Miami's going to be a different animal. It's at Miami, so it's going to be a wild ride. But I'll tell you what, South Florida so far looking pretty damn good as a sleeper this year.
As far as a stinker, the other Florida, the University of Florida, stink. But what about the Michigan Wolverines, Pete?
Yeah.
Now, they're not used to losing in the first half of the season.
No.
Frequently, they will, like other teams, be able to get away with playing the Little Sisters of the Poor at, game 1, game 2, game 3 kind of thing. But this time they decided to open up down there in Oklahoma with a pretty fired up Oklahoma team that's also ranked in the top 20, and they put the whipping on Michigan. Yeah. So I know that puts a smile on your face because you ain't a Michigan fan, but they've got to make a comeback here because that team could kind of pull itself apart, Pete. You got a freshman quarterback you gave a bunch of money to, and even if it's Larry Ellison's money and convincing speech by Tom Brady that got the kid there, but that kid was going after some of his own players. And maybe they deserved it, and that's leadership, or maybe they didn't, and he's trying to move the blame over from himself to them. But that was not a good showing for Michigan.
No. Well, Oklahoma's really well coached. We know that. The guy who's the head coach was a defensive coordinator forever, and he's an unbelievably good coach, I think. They got a lot of talent there. They got a great quarterback that transferred from Washington State to come to Oklahoma with his coach and everything. So they've done a lot of things the right way, I think, Oklahoma. Obviously, the SEC is going to be a powerhouse like they always are, but don't sleep on Oklahoma. That's all I would say, because that's a really good football team, and they beat a really good Michigan football team. So I think Michigan will bounce back. I think the rookie quarterback will figure things out, but they're still paying for the price of some of the penalties that they've had put onto Michigan as well, John. So that's something that Michigan's got to deal with coaches and everything else, and the sign stealing and all these other things that are going from the past. But the past isn't over yet for them. So they've got a few things they've got to clean up if they really want to be in this thing.
Well, and I'll just throw one comment quickly out about Clemson, Pete. You're right. They did come back against Troy, and they deserved to win the game, but you got to win those games.
Yep.
And now they've got Georgia Tech. And I like the idea of taking Georgia Tech in this one because Clemson's playing them and giving 6.5. And they didn't show me that they've got that kind of firepower or anything else. So I would be on the Georgia Tech side of that.
Yeah, that could be pretty interesting.